And that way, anything we might talk about from here on out will be
Yeah,
more content for the amazing return of
$6.
what? $6.
Yeah, Patreon.
Oh yes, yes, $6. Yes.
Yes, yeah,
I was
more
I was
amazing
I,
content.
I was setting you up for an intro is what I was doing.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were. I was playing along.
It's just
More
good.
amazing content for old bollocks.
Old.
Episode number. I don't give a fuck.
We're in the teens. I just don't know what part of the teens, but we'll figure it out whenever we put, the metadata together, as they say.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Make sure you got your metadata handy, bro. Um, so yeah, it's episode number teen.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Does it really matter? It's not like there's a story unfolding.
No,
It's-
there's no narrative really, is there? It's just the two of us
yeah.
either agreeing or disagreeing about various albums. No current feature is running that I'm aware of. We're delving into new shit, and anybody who wants to suggest some new shit, then we'll go check that out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm honestly, once we stripped everything down to just talking about new albums, it made this a lot less stressful for me because I'm just like, all right, whatever, new shit, let's talk about it. And that way, if we
Yeah,
go off on tangents, nobody gives a fuck anyway because,
yeah, yeah.
you
And
either
the
want
thing
to
is, as
hear
well,
about these
is
albums or don't.
well, the thing is, as well, is that even if there's no conversation about the new shit, you can always refer to the old shit that this band have put out. There's room to go. There's room to go there. So yeah.
Yep, yep.
And we've had some great recommendations. One of my albums of the year, Deficiency, Were Enter. That was in my top five. That was a suggestion by a listener. So
I don't think I
Laurent, thank you.
liked. I don't think I liked anything recommended by listeners, so I'm the prick here.
Oh, well, funnily enough, I have had a few listeners say that they've found a few things through this podcast, but
Sweet.
mainly from you, as
Well,
they loved telling me.
maybe they will today because at least two of these are things that I really didn't know anything about before they were released or I got a promo of one of them. But yes, we're reviewing new albums. In case you forgot, because it's been such a long time since we did a proper episode of Talking Bollocks, because the last episode was in January, and that was our interview
Yeah.
with Tempeshot. Well,
Yes.
Mr. Tempeshot himself.
Yeah. Well, look, there's going to be a lot of people out there at the moment wondering. There's going to be a thought in their head, and their thought in their head is going to be, is Howard going to pick him up on the fact that he called it Talking Bollocks and not Old Bollocks, or
Oh,
is he
did
going
I?
to let it
Old
go?
Bollocks. Do you know why?
Of
It's
course, I'm
because
going to let it go.
I'm sitting here staring at you with the words "talking bollocks" over your head for the entire episode.
Absolutely. Oh, I know. I absolutely knew that, man. I mean, this is me you're talking to. Of course, totally understand. But
Old bollocks.
But I know if
Okay.
I was listening, I'd be like, he said talking bollocks, he said talking bollocks. And that rattles around in your head a little bit.
And if that
So
bothers you, that's a load of old bollocks.
hey, there you go. There you go. Always
So,
on brand. Always on brand.
hell yeah. So we got
Steve.
so yeah, we didn't do a February episode, and we're squeaking in at the end of. Well, no, when this comes out, it will no longer be March.
April.
It will be April. But to be fair, there hasn't been a shitload of things to be excited about yet. But
No.
I've got a handful to talk about that are pretty interesting.
Well, should we go straight into what's not been exciting to talk about, and that's the 3 songs that Metallica have released.
Four today.
Oh shit! Right. Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, is it today or is it?
Well,
Is when you went out?
on the day that this was recorded, which is March 30th, 2023, Metallica released the fourth
I haven't
single.
heard it yet.
It,
I'm
it's
so
the, it,
behind.
it's the song 72 Seasons. And,
Right.
and I'm not gonna. I mean, of course, I like it. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's a good song, and it's one of those songs that has fast parts in it. So people will be like, "Metallica is back," forgetting that they had fast parts in the last 3 albums. But it's just It's good shit so far. My feelings about this album are not very much different than how I felt about Hardwired when it was about to come out. Like I had heard the songs, I had liked the songs some more than others, but I liked all of them. And then I'm just sort of like, well, let me hear the rest of the album, and I'll make my decision then. But I know I can already tell I'm going to enjoy it because I'm that kind of fan that I just like them putting out shit.
Yeah.
And it would take a lot for them to put out something that I thought was bad. Like that's the kind of fan I am.
Basically, it'll be down to me to do the critical review.
Yes. It's going to be because I'm going to be completely useless when it comes to
you can't be
talking
objective.
about.
That's you've owned that, and that's a bold admission, and good on you. Okay, fine. I genuinely didn't know there was a song coming out today. I'm feel a bit bad about that. I will go and listen to it.
Yeah. And then eventually we'll talk about it. But I'm assuming so you haven't liked the 3 songs so far.
Well, when Lux Eterna came out, I was incredibly unimpressed.
Yeah.
And then I went back to it. And I was like, actually, that this isn't what I thought it was. It's better. And second song came out.
Screaming Suicide.
Yeah, don't really like that.
I like that one better than Lux Eterna.
Right. And then if Dark Side of Sun, I just couldn't stop playing it. I mean, it's hang on, it's a terrible song.
Oh, really? Because it's my favorite so far. So
it's that chorus. And the thing is about all 3 songs, is that the vocals are outstanding and still incredible, and everything else is bang fucking average. The solos, the playing, the riffs, all of it. But this is what happens as bands age. They sound like this.
They no longer appeal to Howard H. Smith. Is what happens.
Well, you either go with them or you don't. But
know what?
I have to say, like I said, I couldn't stop playing. If Dark Side of Sun. So that chorus is just, oh man, amazing.
It's funny that you mentioned that about like bands at that point. This is what they put out, because one of the albums that I have to talk about is a band that's been going longer than Metallica. And I have opinions about their upcoming album. So we can just use that as a segue to jump right in.
Bowl right in. Go on.
Because I've got 4 albums to talk about. Technically, I have 5 albums to talk about, but one of them, if you don't bring it up, then something is wrong, and we need to have a talk. But we'll probably get there. But the first one I want to bring up, just because it's the one that on the Old Head channel, people are going to be like, Old Head, what did you think of this album? So I have to talk about it here. On April 14th, the 20th studio album from Overkill will be coming out, and it is called Scorched. Have you had a chance to hear this one so far?
It's one of the 2 that I've got to talk about. So this is going to be an Old Head heavy episode.
So it's very possible that both of the albums you're going to talk about, I'm also going to talk about. But that's great. That's great.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'll be surprised if you're going to talk about the album I'm going to talk about.
Okay, well, let's see. But Overkill Scorched.
Yes.
I'm fortunate enough to get access to it early, and
lucky man. How did that happen?
I got the hookup from my co-host.
Good on you, man. That's great.
But the first 2 singles that they released, I actually was quite impressed with them and enjoyed them a lot. I was very excited to hear this album. And to be completely honest, the first thing I can say is, compared to the last couple albums they put out, I think I like this one more than what they had been doing. But going straight through the album, and keep in mind, this is a band that released their first album in 1985 and have This album was 4 years since their last one, and that is the longest gap they've ever had between albums. They've been putting out an album every
Yeah,
2, maybe 3 years since 1985.
yeah.
That's
I
fucking insane.
I had this very thought that only like hours ago, this very day,
Yeah,
um, that I was thinking, when you think about thrash and you think about output and the quality of that output over such a long time, they're pretty much untouchable. They've never had every major thrash band. They've all had a period where things didn't go so great, or they didn't put albums out for a few years, or
yeah,
a good long few years, and they just kept going, and the quality is, rarely wavered. But yeah, I had that very thought today, that the consistency and the volume of product. They always say, look, they always say, judge the whole body of work about any art form.
yeah,
Judge the whole body of work of an artist to appreciate whether, how good they are. And
yeah,
some can achieve greatness, but the rest of their legacy is shit. So it's, and
yeah.
yeah,
Which
incredible.
is it's a big reason why when people say Overkill's their favorite thrash band, I'm like, well, I totally get that, but my point of view on it is that sure they've done 20 albums now, and there is a level of quality that they haven't lost no matter what they did for 20 albums. But the majority of that 20 albums, to me, there's a little bit too much of the same kind of flavors every once in a while, over and over again. And so that's why the last couple albums they did, I've just been like, I enjoy it when I listen to it, but I don't want to go back and listen to it more. It's more just like if a song pops up, I enjoy it, but it's not good enough to bring me back. This album is kind of the same thing, except for like a handful of tracks. There's a handful of tracks where I really appreciated the variety on this album with regard to tempos and song structures and things like that. It
Yeah,
really isn't
yeah,
just the
agree.
same thrash bullshit over and over and over again. There is some of that thrash bullshit here, but for the most part, the fact that they've been doing it this long for this many albums, and there's still that sort of mindset of, well, we gotta, we're writing this next song. It should have this other vibe to it. Well, however they go through the writing process, it's not lost on me that they have given an album experience, if you will, to their fans. And so I didn't love this album, but I did love a few tracks off of it. But overall, the big thing is that it's not, in certain ways, it's not much different than what they've done before, and in other ways, it's more varied. And so I like that. So in regards to the massive Overkill fans, I can't imagine anybody not loving this album, because it really does kind of give you, like, the very last song on this album is like the beat, the style of the song. I'm like, when's the last time they did one of these? It was like a bouncy kind of song. It's been since the 90s probably. So I enjoyed that part of it. So it's, good on him for continuing to put out, this level of quality after this many years. But I wouldn't give it like a 10 out of 10. I would maybe a 6 out of 10, because it's, I didn't think it was boringly average. I just thought, it is that thing like you were saying about Metallica. Like, some bands reach a state and an amount of years, and you're like, oh, well, this is what we're going to get from them now. And that's what you get from Overkill. So if that's what you're enjoying, Scorched is going to be one of your favorites of the year. I have a feeling. So
Yeah. Well, basically I like it more than you.
yeah,
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised, because
hmm
I've kind of not. I've kind of, I don't know, sort of just drifted away from Overkill over the last few years. But
hmm
I found myself coming back to this album, and purely because of the single "Wicked Place."
yeah,
And I just thought, and I spoke to name drop. I spoke to Bobby about this,
yeah,
and about like that straight away. That song, I was like, oh, hello. Bobby's doing something different. Bobby's getting to have some fun, you know. And that drew me in. And
Yeah.
maybe the fact that that drew me in as a singer, Bobby being somebody I know whose voice is instantly recognizable, and yada yada yada, for him to be going out there and not doing something different, but getting the chance to do something a little bit different was,
Yeah.
me. I was like, right, okay, cool. So that's drawn me in on a level that many an album isn't going to.
Yeah.
Um, and given that I know him as well, it's all plays into me going, right, I'm going to listen to this like more carefully.
Yeah.
And what I found is an album that and I'm glad you said there's some surprises on it. There is a funnily enough, I thought your review was better than 6 out of 10.
Oh.
But yeah, the variety on the album I love. I love some of the drumming touches by Jason Bittner as well. There's just some little bits and pieces that really appeal to me. So yeah, I don't know. It's because this is what a 3-year album, Overkill album, sounds like.
Yeah.
Have we ever had one like this before? The answer is no. So maybe that is the key to why this is a little bit different. And for that reason alone, I'm really liking it. And at the moment, I'm giving it an 8.
Nice. And in regards to Wicked Place, like that was one of the things, because that song has such a nice groove to it, and just to hear a thrash band throw in some groove, I'm just like, I miss that. We need more of that. More, because I love the fast thrashy shit, just like the next guy does. But you throw in a groover after it, then I'm pretty happy.
Well, as I was saying to Bobby, the Room, it's just straight away as a singer, when you hear that groove, you just go, oh, Room.
Yeah.
I haven't got to go like a machine gun. I've got some room to play with. You know. So yeah, cool.
So right, Overkill gets an 8 from you, gets a 6 from me, but cool.
Should we keep score?
Nah.
Should we keep score and see who wins?
Everyone at home, you keep score at home, and then you.
All right. Okay.
You can fax us your results to our fax number that we will give to you at the end of the episode.
It's 666 666 666 666.
Is that the right number of numbers? Just start pressing 6 until Satan answers, and you'll know you reached the right number.
Yeah. Well, until you get a fax coming through, there's a picture of Satan saying, "What do you want? Stop ringing my number."
So, all right, well, cool. So I'll move on to my next one. So the fact that you only have 2, I know you're not talking about this one. This actually came out in February, but because we didn't do it,
I'd be really surprised if you want to talk about the album. Okay.
Everybody prepare yourselves. So, in February we didn't do an episode, but an album came out from a band called what?
I love you've tied those two together. We didn't do an episode, but albums. Bands still put albums out in February. They don't. Thinking?
I figured that they might put it on hold. They wait for our episodes to come out to do anything. So the band is Venomous Concept. You know who they are? Who Venomous Concept are?
No, I'm going to have to plead the fifth on that.
Okay, Venomous Concept is kind of a side project, although this is their 5th album, with Kevin Sharp, the vocalist of Brutal Truth, and Shane Embury from Napalm Death. Right.
Sorry. So I'm aware of the band. Didn't recognize the name instantly, but yes, not heard much.
Okay, so they for the most part for 4 albums have been still just sort of grindcore, because you have like Brutal Truth, Napalm Death. You figure they come together, they make some grindcore, and that's what they've been doing. So in February they put out their 5th album, which is called The Good Ship Lollipop, and it is absolutely not grindcore. In fact, some of it's just straight up rock music. With Kevin Sharp's sort of gruffly, gravelly kind of vocals over it, and I really like it. And I'm a fan of theirs, but I've never been a fan of theirs where like I felt like talking to people about their albums, because people would be like, Venomous Concept. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Like that's how I've always felt about them. But now
Yeah.
it's this album where, just like I was talking about with the Overkill album, and I'll actually talk about this with another album too. It's a fucking album with all these different sort of flavors that all kind of sound. There's a cohesive thing to it, but it sounds like a band that's just like, fuck this. Why do we have to do these fast grindcore things with these shouty vocals? Why do we always have to do that? Let's do everything but that. And so they even have a song that has a little bit of a, I guess, like a Killing Joke kind of vibe on it or something, and stuff that's a little more aggressive, but it just has this really unique sound to it that's hard to pin down. It's a little extreme, but then in other ways not extreme enough for some extreme metal fans. And it's just one of those albums that I just keep going to listen to, mostly because I'm like I forget about all the cool things they do on the album and the cool little songwriting things and the mood that the album creates. This coming from a band that prior to that had really been like for like every fucking song, which is fine if that's what you're going to them for. But just, you know me, like whenever a band puts out something totally, left field from what they've been doing, like I'm always, that's not even an expression. Is that over there in England? You say left field? Because I think it's a baseball expression.
No. There was a band called Left Field as well.
Oh, but that was like, weren't they like a electronic group, Left Field?
Yeah, fucking great.
Anyway, so I enjoy that. I enjoy a band doing something different, and they just happen to put together this album, and I think is really enjoyable. If you're one of those heavy music fans that doesn't necessarily need a label slapped on it, then this Venomous Concept album is a lot of fun. So
you're all in. Is that a phrase you have over there? All in.
All in. Yes, we have that over here.
You're all in on that, aren't you, buddy?
I am. That's a poker term.
Ah, of course, or of course a sex term, but let's not go there.
That's too. I'm all in both ways for Venomous Concept.
Oh, that's another sex term. You're going for it. I'm all in both ways. Well, look, I'm intrigued. Half of me goes, I really want to hear this, and half of me goes, this is one of those things where I'm going to send you an offensive message after I've heard it. I don't really know, honestly. Everything I know about you, this is one of those albums where I really don't know how you would feel about it. Okay, well, that's if you don't know, then let's hope I do. But I will. I'll give it. I'm gonna give that a listen. After we finish recording this, definitely.
Cool.
Okay. What's next, Steve?
Do you want me to do one more in mine before we get into your second album?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is another one. This is an album that was a complete surprise because I had no desire. I knew of this band, but I had no desire to listen to them because I'm just like, okay, whatever. The band is called OTTO. Do you know who that band is? Does that ring a bell?
OTTO.
Yes.
No, but I recognize the name.
OTTO is a new band with some young kids in it. One of them, whose name is Ty Trujillo, which is Rob Trujillo's son on bass guitar.
And that's where I've seen the name. So
it's a three piece of just some young dudes. And I knew they were a band, but I don't know, for some reason, even with like, oh, look, Lars's kids are in a band. I'm just like, whatever. I don't know. I'm such a huge Metallica fan, but it only goes so far. But I randomly just heard a song off of this new album, which is called Life is a Game, came out on the 24th of March. And I was like, oh, this is good. Who the fuck is this? And I went and checked. I'm like, OTTO? What the fuck is OTTO? And as soon as they led me down the hole of like, holy shit, this is Ty Trujillo's band. And I was straight away went to listen to the album, and it is a blast. It is hard to explain, but it sounds like it's made by young, excited kids in a new band because it is
enthusiastic.
It's an enthusiastic rock record that once again doesn't really, I don't know where to put it because it has some thrashy elements, some alternative elements, some groove, a lot of groove, but the vocals, a lot of it really makes me, it sounds like something that could have come out in the mid 90s, but it has a very modern production style to it.
For some reason, I knew you were going to say that. Is it? Has it got? But presumably without the sort of the drawl of the 90s, you know.
No, it's got the groovy part of it. Like the bands that were doing the more groove oriented stuff with melodic vocals over it is what you get here. And I was just so surprised at how much I liked it and how well written a lot of the songs are. And I'm just, it's one of those things, like we talked about this with the Tempo Shot album. I really like this album a lot, but I'm even more excited for these dudes are like 18 years old. Like like if they stick together as a band, what the fuck is their second album going to be like? I'm just super excited for them. I feel excited for Rob Trujillo. I don't even know him, but I just think about that position of like, oh, my kid's in this band, they put out a pretty goddamn good album. Like, what's that feeling? Like, I don't know. My daughter started playing bass, so maybe that'll be a thing that I run into one day.
Oh, brilliant! Anyway. She's just started playing bass, and you've already got her recording her first album.
No, she is not ready yet.
Dad.
She is Sid Vicious level of bass playing at this point. She is, she's got a ways to go. But yeah, this OTTO album, I honestly would just highly recommend it for the same, really like in the same vein as Venomous Concept. If you just like some good groove and some good heavy rock music, it's really well done. And I was very surprised. So
again, I'm going to rush off. I'm going to listen to Venomous Concept and OTTO. The same other people are going to, because I'm inquisitive.
Yeah,
and you have got my you've definitely got my my interest.
Well, good. That's the whole point of this, everybody.
Okay, right. Well, shall I do my album then?
Sure, man. We are blowing through these.
I really don't think. Yeah. Well, why hang around? Life is short. And yeah, like I said, I don't think you were going to be talking about the album I'm going to be talking about, and this is where.
Let's find out.
Proved correct.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. Okay, kids. It is the new album from Haken called Fauna.
Yep, I was going to talk about that one.
I'm taking responsibility for this. Have I got you into Haken?
Well, you're the beginning of this because I knew who they were because of you.
Right.
So well, you do it first because I'm gonna talk about it after you do.
Well, no. I'm interested to do this first and then roll into our opinions on the new album. Now, I've played. I have a radio show on my Patreon, Howard Smith, patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. Sign up, $6 a month. He's a member, so you should be too. And I do a radio show every month, about 2 hours, and chuck all sorts of stuff in there, including pre-release stuff, folks. Oh my God, what a hero. So anyway, and I do like me some Haken. I discovered them on their last album, Virus, in the middle of a pandemic, and their album's called Virus, and it's about a pandemic. What the so yeah. And that album is fucking amazing. And so I can't stop playing them. As you know, I saw them on Sunday night as well. But anyway, anywho, I'm at the beginning of you knowing who they were. So is that you heard a bit on Radio Bollocks, or
So that's where it started. You played them, and you've mentioned them before on Old Bollocks as well. So you got the title right that time. And honestly, what happened was I saw there was two things. Number one, if you release an album with an album cover like that, I'm going to listen to it. That's the first thing. Second off, I saw the name
with a monkey
with a picture of an elephant in the room,
monkey in a suit, like, and then the detail. You go into it and you see all the detail in the in that artwork. Yeah, it's proper old school detail. Find all the little bits and all the references to all the songs. Yeah, that's my kind of shit.
Yeah, so I saw the name pop up, and it was when, on Apple Music, it does like, new songs, and it was one of their tracks. And it was this particular track that I listened to that I was like, oh, I was very, very into this, and still am very into this particular track. And then
So what's the particular track? Come on.
the track was "The Alphabet of Me."
I knew it would be. I knew it would be. I almost said, was it the alphabet of me by any chance?
Yeah,
Because that would have absolutely smacked you over the head with, oh, what the fuck is this?
yeah. So that led me in to listen to the album. Now, honestly, like this is me beginning my review, but I won't go too far.
No, go for it.
I listened to the whole album all the way through and loved things about it. Didn't like some things about it, but I remember at the end, the album ended, and I started to think about it and I go, yeah, I know Howard's going to talk about this album. Like, what do I think about this album? And I remember like giving it a rest and then going to the next day and looking at it. And I'm like, I can't be bothered to play this again. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it that's making me not want to play this album again. And then almost like it was like a sign from God. I see a tweet.
There is no God, by the way, kids.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, there's your whatever your God is, and mine is not a bearded man in the sky because he lives. I'm right here, but it was a sign from somebody.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet from Jason Bieler from Saigon Kick talking about how amazing that album was. I'm like, all right, okay, so two people that I really admire say this is good shit. Steven, quit being an idiot and jump into it again. And I jumped into it again. And I have to admit, I liked it a lot more the second time around. I still have some of the same complaints, but the things that I thought were cool the first time actually became even cooler to me. So,
okay.
But you could start with yours because mine is, it's going to be on top of what you say probably.
Well, I would, first of all, here's how your relationship is going to develop with that album. Okay. Because this is not I've had it 2 weeks, let's review it.
Yeah.
This is I've had it 6 months, now I can properly review it.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is the bits that you thought you were cool were even cooler. Mm-hmm. And the complaints that you have are going to go away.
I have a feeling, yeah.
Over time, you will embrace everything because it now all makes sense, and it would now be weird if those bits that you didn't like in the first place weren't there. Mm-hmm. It will all make sense. It's just there is so much music, there's so much depth, there's so much to appreciate. It really is it's a demanding listen. Mm-hmm. It's a demanding listen. But I think it's absolutely fantastic. I was listening to it today and I genuinely thought, for me, there's only one song that is, not up to the standard of the rest. And I was listening to that song and then it went into a part that I absolutely love. And I was like, yeah, there's this.
Yeah.
And every song for me has at least one section where you go, that's just fucking great. Mm-hmm. And that goes a long way when and what I find is you might start listening to a song going, I love that bit in the middle of this song, that's what this song's all about, and by about your 10th listen you've fallen in love with everything that leads up to that bit that you loved in the first place.
For context, for those of you who may not know this band, it's very proggy.
Yeah.
It's like proggy to the point where at first listen you could easily get lost in certain sections of some of the songs.
But what I would say is this is for the Metallica fan who doesn't like Dream Theater. This is for.
So you're talking about me.
Well, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like if the cap fits. It's heavier. This is metal. It's prog metal. Dream Theater. It's metally in places, but it's all clean singing and everything else. But these guys, when they do heavy, do it at a fucking astoundingly heavy level. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the instrumentation and instrumental sections are heavy,
But
And
vocally speaking, though,
oh
he doesn't go singy and then shouty. He
no,
kind
no,
of
no, no.
does his thing that he
Yeah.
sort of floats over the songs for the entire duration of the album.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he kind of makes sense of what's going on underneath it, because he gives your ears a something to, hook onto.
Yeah,
Whilst what's going on underneath might take some time to sort of, seep through and for you to be able to appreciate it. But it's nice to have that kind of melody to hang on to in the first place.
yeah,
But yeah, he's also great, and the lyrics are great. All the concepts are great. And yeah, it's a great album. It was a great album.
yeah.
It was a weird gig.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it was. I had my earplugs in and they came on, and I just thought straight off the bat, sound is naff. It's just not very good. And then I realized I could hear everyone around me. I could hear people sneezing like 20 feet away. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with it? So I took the earplugs out and I was like, okay, that's much better. Still sounds a little bit odd, but that's much better. And I put my
So
earplugs back
they
in.
play quietly.
Well, then I put my earplugs back in, and then I will move to a different part, got a better view, got a better sound, took my earplugs, and then took my earplugs out again and just enjoyed the rest of the show with my earplugs out, which I wouldn't normally do. And
Yeah.
then it dawned upon me that I've also had this experience seeing Rammstein, bands who are loud, but your ears don't ring. And the connection and why I struggled to get into the Haken show is the fact that they're playing, their sound is compressed. Do you know what I mean? So it's all their instruments, everything is all about compression. So
Hmm.
you're getting Kemper guitars, you're getting, basically there's no amps on stage, there's no nothing. Everyone's DI'd, the kit is all triggered, and so you're essentially listening to all of the sounds that made the album. So my complaint, or
That's
rather,
interesting.
it's not my complaint, but what I don't like is it sounded too good. It sounded
Yeah.
too much like the album. Um, the guitars were so dry. They were so dry. It was like a rehearsal room sound.
Hmm.
That's to me. To
Yeah.
me, it was like, wow, who's fucking nicked the treble? And this is a live band,
Yeah.
and it was just weird. And there are bits, incredible majestic bits, that I was absolutely dying to hear from the Virus album, and they played the tracks, and I was, oh, brilliant. And it get to bits and you'd be like, that's like, there's just a live element to this sound for me that is missing.
Yeah.
um and then the singer went off stage for a bit, which happens a lot in these kind of gigs and prog gigs. And then I got distracted by the fact that I realized for the first time that all five members on stage had beards. And then like, but both guitarists don't have machine heads. They have, their headstock's missing, and they all play with the guitars really high up, and the thing is fucking perfect. And
Yeah.
I looked and I just thought, it's five music teachers, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's literally like, you know this, kids, is how you play this stuff perfectly live. And it's like, all right, cheers, thanks for popping in.
Yeah.
um and don't get me wrong, that is what people are there to see.
Yeah.
And also I was absolutely fucking knackered. I'd had a hell of a weekend,
Hmm.
for various reasons, which I won't go into, but yeah. So and I didn't even stay for the whole set, but I did come away thinking, do you know what, they're a fantastic band, lovely. I need to see them when I'm not absolutely fucked and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But for me, that was still the takeaway. Was it, they're never going to be like Risk falling over delivering their live, their
Yeah.
show. it's everything is note perfect, and that, like I said, that is what the crowd are there to see. But that combined with the sound as well, it just felt, yeah, it just felt like it was missing a live element, and I was at a live event.
Yeah, that's kind of a letdown because I really, in my listening to a lot of the songs on this album, I thought my thought would be, oh, it'd be so great to hear how these sound with amps behind them that they're feeding back, and they've all had 3 beers. Like that's what I want to hear them do. Pull off the album now,
Yeah,
with all of that
yeah.
shit. But you're saying it like sometimes I've been to shows where things seem so perfect that I can't determine if they're just playing along to the album, and I don't like that. It's
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, this wasn't that. Obviously, you're not saying that, but
yeah.
it was missing an. Do you know what was missing? It came to me when I was thinking it was missing a live element. It was missing, and for me, this is the key to all live performance. It was missing energy.
Okay.
If you don't take the energy the crowd give you and chew that up and throw it back at them, and so they give it back to you again. It's so it just felt a bit like that. It felt like the audience was going, yeah, and the band was just going, cheers, and that was that. But you read anywhere about what they're like, read reviews of the show I went to, and you will read nothing but they're fucking brilliant live.
Yeah.
So, and I love the band. I love the band. So, there's that as well. Also, the other thing that played into it, and I've, this is because I'm a fucking child. I was really looking forward to seeing what merch they have, because their online store is fucking amazing. Everything from baby grows to like beer mats, just brilliant. One T-shirt of the new album, not the album cover. One T-shirt of the previous album, Virus, a hat, and a jacket, and that was it. And I was like, right, oh, okay, never mind.
Well, I mean, really, this I honestly find it baffling when bands bring out so much merch, because I'm just like, there's 3 things up there that are unique to this particular show, and the rest I can go buy online for cheaper than you have it here.
Yeah, well, there was no tour date stuff or anything like that. It was all just, it was just like, so. But anyway,
Yeah.
that was my live Haken experience. Still love the band, and still Fauna is getting better with every listen.
How was the vocalist live though? What did he sound like?
He was brilliant, but back to your point you made and didn't make earlier, there were times where he was so far away from the mic and it was so perfect that either he has got some help or it is all something else. It's all, but that is the nature of it's so fucking tight. They are absolute masters of what they do. And I'm not suggesting that the singer uses Pro Tools. I'm not. I'm just saying that when the sound is so perfect, you start overanalyzing it, and maybe I was overanalyzing, imagining it, or maybe the backing vocals were. I think the backing vocals were definitely either Pro Tools or it was live vocals and Pro Tools underneath, because they were too perfect.
Yeah.
And by that I mean, one fucking knows. It's just too perfect.
Yeah, that would bum me out a little bit. The reason I was asking about him is because at first listen especially, and honestly every listen so far to this album, he is the least impressive part of the band. Because sometimes I feel like they need a more dynamic vocalist on certain things, but then other parts, like for example, the song "The Alphabet of Me," perfect. Like what he does on that song, perfect. And the fact that track has elements that like are proggy, and then other elements that I'm like, this just could have come from a pop song on the radio. Like I love the marriage of those two things in that song, and he sounds perfect. But other parts, I'm like, it'd be cool if he could do something different with his voice at this, because it's he has this sort of like halfway between Michael McDonald and Christopher Cross kind of voice.
Wow.
It's like
Damned by great praise.
Yeah, both of those are great singers, but you know what I mean, where it's very smooth. It's a smooth voice.
Do you want me to absolutely nail it for you, because I know what you're getting at?
Okay.
His voice lacks emotion. He can't emote. There are songs where he will be singing about, like, this cannot be, or and yet there's no intonation.
Yeah.
It's just notes. It's the notes and the words. But
maybe that's
the emotion of those words isn't there. It's just the words and the notes.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that has to grow on me, is just his vocals, but I do like them on some songs. And then the other part,
and they will grow on you. They will, because that was my first feeling, and now I love him. I love what he does.
Yeah, the other part of it is, it's not just them, it's a lot of prog metal in general. I love odd time signatures. I love songs that have interesting little bits that just pop up for no reason, like in the middle of a chorus or whatever, and it doesn't make much sense, but it's really cool and it goes back into the other part. All these things. But I think some bands push things too far in certain areas of songs where it's not necessary, and it no longer serves the song. It's just them kind of showing off what they can do here, and it takes me out of the song, where I'm just like, and it's like I always say about like Rush. Rush to me is one of the greatest bands ever, because they could do an entire song in an odd time signature and you would never know, because of how well written and performed the song is.
Tom Sawyer.
But Tom Sawyer, yeah.
Sawyer sounds like a pop song. Try fucking play it.
Yeah. And so in this particular case, the reason why, like, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because I think major prog fans would love that. For me, it's one of those things that the more I get to know the song, the more those parts will be the parts I can sort of still be involved with the song. But I mean, at least half of the songs, there's some part where I go, they did not need to do that. It was unnecessary to do that in this particular part. Or, it's like, or bands doing that thing where it's literally just one note, but they just play it in a really odd time signature. I'm like, dude, everybody fucking does that. Just cut that bit off and move into the more interesting part of the song. But like I said, overall though, after listening to it, a few times now, I'm just like, yeah, this is an album that the more I listen to it, the more I'm going to be like, oh yeah, all these weird things. Like there's a song, one of the things that I giggled out loud at was, there is a split second moment where you hear hand claps for a second. And I went, that's fucking great. Like, and literally I don't think it happens any other time in the song. The music just cuts out, you hear hands clapping, and then it goes right back into the song. And I'm like, they didn't need to do that, but it's not lost on me at all. And so I think all the parts of the songs are going to end up being that, where I go, all right, never mind. That's actually really cool what they do here. So
yeah. That's what I was saying earlier, mate. Is that all of that stuff that you were saying about the odd time signatures and everything. A difficult child to love, but given time, love will develop, and even you'll be going, you know what, those fucking odd time signatures that used to take me out of the song, now they drag me in.
Oh yeah.
It is a welcome to the wonderful world of Haken. You got to go back and do Virus next.
Yeah, I've added it to my Apple Music library, because I'm going to go check that out, because I know I've heard songs off of that one as well.
Oh, there are tunes. And by the way, you were saying about you felt the singer was the weak point. They release every album as a double CD. One is the album, and one is the album without vocals.
Oh, that makes sense, because on Apple Music, it's got another half of it where it's instrumental. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got the Virus double disc. I only got the single one of this, but I will. And the great thing is, I'll do what I did last time, which is get the album, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. After about 6, 7 months, get the double disc, get the instrumental version, and then start in on that.
Yeah.
Because you can, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And this is where like you have to give massive credit to the singer. When you listen to the instrumental, it's like you just hear his sing. No matter how hard you're listening to the music, there are times where it's just like, I really appreciate what he does now even more because it's not here.
Yeah, you made an amazing point though, because there are some of those parts with the really confusing time signatures. The way he sings over it does help you keep track of what's going on. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, all my gripes are small gripes, and I just think it's because I'm not a huge fan of prog, all the time. It's pretty rare. So I think it's just that kind of thing where I'm just, I'm all like, where's my 4/4 beats?
Well, I love having an album that is just like challenging and but also fucking heavy.
Yeah.
There is some gargantuan fucking riffs and grooves to be had here, and some beautiful beautiful melodies and some catchy choruses. It's just a big old fan.
Mm-hmm. So that was Haken, everybody. A total love fest for the most part.
We ain't hating on Haken.
That was horrible, but
it sounded like your next door neighbor. Fuck you.
All right. Well, I only have one more album to talk about.
Oh no, kids! Not long now. It's going to be bedtime soon.
Yeah. And this is another surprise because I didn't know who this band was, and I got this as a promo. This comes out on April 7th, so sometime around this episode comes out. But the band is called, so this is in Spanish, so bear with me. Cultura Tres, which is translates to like Culture 3 or something like that. And the album is called Camino de Brujos, which translates to the way of the sorcerer or something like that. They're from Venezuela. This is their 5th album, and they're a metal band. And this came onto my radar because the bass player on this album is a man we all know as Paulo Jr.
Right, it's that album.
Yeah,
the one he's been banging on about in the press, and
I'm assuming because I haven't heard him talk about it, but I got the press release for it and the promo, and I saw his name, so I went, well, I'm at least going to check this out. And it's literally song number 1. I'm like downloading this. I'm just like fucking A, man. So this it's metal for those Sepultura fans that love chaos roots against like that the groove. The more simplified, detuned groove style stuff, but their stuff almost sounds like a punky edge to it, right? But it is the more that I listen to it, the more I'm like, I really wish. Well, I wish more bands would do this, but I'm also glad that they don't, because then this really stands out, because it's been a long time since I've heard some really good. A song that's like literally about 2 or 3 notes, and it creates a mood for 4 minutes of fucking tension, and that's fucking great. But there's really good grooves on this. Sometimes it gets a little fast at times, but for the most part, it's mid tempo and very driving, groovy metal. And but yeah, if you're fans of that era of Sepultura, if you like the groovier Sepultura, you will love this album. And I was very surprised at how much I liked it. And
wow, so that's another album I'm running off to go and fucking download.
Cultura Tres, and the album is Camino de Brujos. And it was just funny because none of the lyrics are in Spanish; it's all in English. But yeah, it comes out on the 7th, and it's just, man, I don't really know where else to go. I love it. I think it's fucking great. I'm mad that the vinyl is not available in America. So if I want to buy it, I got to pay more for shipping than I do for the vinyl. And so I'm just like, I'll get it later.
Yeah, that shit happens, bro. That shit happens.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's really good. So I don't know a lot about the band, but they've clearly been around for a while in different forms with these two brothers from Venezuela that kind of kept the thing going.
yeah,
But good old Paulo Jr. You put somebody from Sepultura, their name next to something, and I'm usually going to be like, I'm gonna check that out. So
yeah, yeah.
there's
Absolutely.
there's another album coming up pretty soon from Andreas's other band, like the Latin supergroup metal band he has.
Yeah.
Um, De La
Oh,
Tierra, I think is the name of that band. And I've already heard a song from that, and it's fucking incredible. So that'll be coming down the road in Old Bollocks. But
cool. There's that to look forward to down the pipe on Old Bollocks,
oh
as
yeah,
broadcaster of the year remembers there. Um, so, um, Eugene, yeah, that's it. You broadcaster of the year.
I just love how you just sort of abandon whatever you were saying. You're just like, and so that's whatever, Old Bollocks. Let's get out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Fuck it. Fuck it. No, we've got that to look forward to. We've got you bringing us Andreas's next album to look forward to, as well as
Oh,
that. That's some really cool tunes, though, by the sounds of it.
oh yeah, yeah. I love it, and I'm also going through a thing right now because I love old school Sepultura like a lot of people do, and I've really been into the most recent Sepultura albums. But I've now found myself really warming up to all of the early Derek Green stuff in a way that I
Oh yeah.
hadn't for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's that
So are
there's
you
that
into
sound.
Rawback yet? Then
Yeah, yeah, not as much, but I do. I'm getting there with
yeah,
like Nation and Roarback, and there's that the first sort of concept one they did, not Alex, the one before it. That
yeah.
those are all ones that like have been a little bit of a struggle for me, but I'm finding myself hearing things and going, "Nah, I'm into this now. I'm digging this." So
Well, Rawback was the first time that they put an album out where everyone went, "Wow, Sepultura are back."
yeah.
You know, that was the first album with Derek where they went, "Oh, this actually fucking works."
Oh,
Um,
I love Nation, the first, not Nation, Against, the first one. I think that's a fucking great album, but
yeah, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. No,
but
Against Damnation are both like, yeah, they're all right. You know, I don't know. Well, for me anyway.
yeah,
That's that.
but I mean, we can both agree that the last few have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Something about them getting Eloy on drums gave them a kick in the ass that I don't know what happened, but they have put
Yeah,
out
yeah.
some amazing shit.
Oh, it all makes way more sense now with Eloy on drums.
Yeah,
It's just I would never have imagined that this Sepultura lineup would have done an instrumental on their album, and I would never imagined that it would be any good.
yeah.
Um,
You're talking about
and
the one off of Machine Messiah.
No, I'm talking about the one off Quadra.
You're forgetting about what is the one there's the one off of Machine Messiah is proggy and fucking weird, and I love it so much. Anyway,
Turns out
those
you're
are-
a bit of a prog fan, isn't it?
when done right, and yeah, I love it. But also with Sepultura, they don't do it all the time. So if you throw in a song where I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here, then I love it because they get right back to the groove or whatever they're doing on the next song. So yeah, that's our Sepultura chunk.
That's it. That's that. In fact, that is our chunk. That's a really good place to leave it. I like the word chunk. I think
Yeah.
I think everyone's had a nice chunk of new music to go and listen to. I must say, this episode, I've very much felt like a listener slash viewer. It's been I've got as much out of this episode as you have, listener. Okay, because as always, we don't discuss what we're going to be bringing you
Yeah.
for this very reason. And also because otherwise you do things like prep and then it's not spontaneous, and if it's not spontaneous, it's not as much fun to listen to.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the only time I ever share something with you beforehand is if it's something that I have a pretty good feeling you're going to enjoy. Because otherwise, I don't want to waste your time. I'm just like, he's got too many things to do.
I've always got time for music, and I've always got time for music that you send me, mate. But this is that I am now going to go and I'm going to do what everyone else is going to go and do, and listen to this stuff. But thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll hopefully.
always.
I mean, maybe it'll be another 2 months before we come back. Who knows? I'm just.
No. You can go there. I was going to say, promise we're not going to, be away for too long. Yeah, I think maybe we'll do one next month.
Yeah. Either way, if we take a month off, we got more to talk about. Who the fuck cares? We'll do.
If we take a month off, so if we take a month off, right? Bands won't put albums out.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the entire music world will cease to exist if we don't put out an episode. So we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll be back. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.
All right, bye.